getting that first sale from a stranger is like magic. That's so tough to do. If you can get the 1, all right, can you get 10? If you can get 10, can we get 100? And so you see where this is going. It's like it gets easier as you add more. It is very much a snowball rolling down a hill, but you see gains where you spend your time. So if you're not putting any effort into it, and then also wondering why you're not getting sales, well, okay, that's an easy problem to figure out.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Engatica interview series. I'm your host, Brendan, and we are glad to have you joining us today. And today, we have Kurt Elster, a Shopify expert and the host of Unofficial Shopify podcast on the show. Welcome, Kurt.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So Engatica interview series is a powerhouse of insights of industrial experts and influencers from all over the globe. A platform that provides all the latest news on AI, automation, and technologies that helps you grow your business. Come and be a part of a community where you'll get to learn, share, and grow with us. So over here, we have Esther, who will be helping us with a few questions wherein, Kurt, I would need your help to understand on how brands can use data and analytics to make strategy decisions for e-commerce platform.
I think everyone wants to make data-driven decisions, right? Because you don't want to make the wrong decision. It makes sense. So you want to make the data-driven decision, but then you have to know or assume that your data is correct, right? We don't know necessarily. And we also have to know what the question is we want to answer. I think that's probably the biggest thing people get into trouble with is like they open up the dashboard, they're looking at the KPIs, the analytics, wherever it is, and they're like, all right, now what? Like, yeah, I think you have to go into it ideally with a question. If you're just like, well, I'm gonna stare at these numbers until a solution jumps out at me. That's what makes it so tough. And so like trying to come up with something actionable. But I think, if you view things get simpler if you view e-commerce as a math problem. It's like, all right, I have traffic times conversion rate times average order value equals my revenue. Well, okay, that's not tough. I mean, you can give me a snapshot of 7 days, 30 days, and I could make, just based on that number, we could make an educated guess as to like, well, here's top line revenue for 12 months. Now, it may or may not be accurate, which brings us back to that first part of that answer was, how do we know our numbers are right? So if you're questioning that, what I learned recently is assume that you don't have like the last year or the last month or the last 6 months and calculate your data up to that point and try and predict what you already know. And if it's correct, okay, now you can have faith in your numbers. But all right, so I think with that e-commerce funnel, since it's that math problem, it's basic algebra. Which one of those numbers is our bottleneck? Each is a lever we could pull: conversion rate, average order value, traffic. All right, which is the one slowing us down? Which one will have the highest impact? I just made a simple Google spreadsheet, and then it'll like plug in the different. I'm like, all right, what if I can get this to go up 10%? What do I potentially make? If I can get AOV or conversion rate, all right, which one has the highest impact? Okay, that's the one. Let's focus on just that. And I say focus on just that because if you like try and implement 5 things that'll affect each of those, then it makes it really tough to figure out what actually worked. But at the same time, man, if you're doing anything to improve your situation based on your data, I'm thrilled, right? It's okay to screw it up. You'll figure it out along the way. I'm sure I did all kinds of boneheaded things over time.
Wow, that's great. So followed by that, there's a second question that comes into place over here. Can you talk about the process for testing and optimizing the user experience on the e-commerce platform?
Ooh, okay. So I think when we talk about user experience, people get so caught up in design. And I want to share a point here. We've got a wonderful client portfolio, some really cool, interesting brands in there, some celebrity-backed brands, some really fun brands, everything. I got everything. The brand that makes the most revenue by far, like number 2 is a distant second. This brand is mid 8 figures, 40 million a year. They're on Shopify's Dawn theme. They didn't have a logo until this year when I was like, please, you have to get a logo. And so the highest performer had the least designed store, but the store was really easy to use. And it was really easy to find what you were looking for. And you knew it's like, this is the thing. And so, all right, when we talk about like test design, user experience, people get so wrapped up in how it looks and how it makes them feel as the owner. That's the mistake they're making. How you as the owner perceive and think about your site. Turns out it doesn't matter. You're probably the most critical person on the planet about it, right? You spend more time on it than anyone else. Everyone else is just trying to get a job done. They're just trying to like, should I buy this thing? Yes or no? Can I even find the thing I'm looking for? Am I confident in buying it? And then maybe if you're really, really lucky, 1 out of 50 people buy that thing from you. Oh, sweet relief. And so it really comes down to like for user experience, get out of your own head, get in the user's head, let go of how your site looks and how it reflects on you because they don't care. Your biggest competitor is the back button. Just make that site as easy to use by removing all the friction points. And that could be the site's hard to use, the site's slow to load, the site makes it hard to find stuff, the site's confusing. But none of those things apply to you as the owner. So it's like, I love screen recordings. Microsoft Clarity is my favorite tool. It's free. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So I recommend people use Microsoft Clarity because it'll tell you, here's recordings where people had rage clicks. Here's recordings where people had dead ends. You know, a rage click, that's where someone just gets mad and clicks like 10 times in a row out of frustration. And so it'll show you that. And you watch 10 of those and quickly discover like, this happened to us recently. We designed the coolest collection page in the world, this category page. We're so proud of it. It turns out the users didn't know how to use the thing. It was like overwhelmingly, our beautiful collection page was stopping people and costing this poor brand money. And so we're like, you know what? We're sorry. We were wrong. We tried it. We were wrong. We got rid of it. We like the traditional simple collection page worked. And so, all right, the answer is get out of your head and figure out what's frustrating your users. And tools like Microsoft Clarity, just asking people, that can help, whether that's via live chat, via pop-up. Microsoft Clarity could do that as well, where you go, hey, if you didn't find what you're looking for on this page, what was it? To uncover those hidden objections, or like post-purchase surveys, or even my favorite app ever for testing, phone.app. Call someone on the phone. Oh my gosh, you would not believe the amount of value you get from talking to a customer for 20 minutes. And if you're like, hey, I'm the owner of this brand, you know, I saw you've made 2 purchases, that this is a new brand for me. That's really cool. I'll give you $50 if you talk to me for 30 minutes about it. I'd love to know. Most people will be flattered. They'll be like, yeah, sure. And the worst case is they're like, no, I'm sorry, I don't have time. But because you went at it in a really positive way, I get how scary it is. That's why I'm like, like, oh my gosh, we're millennials. The phone, if my phone rings, I gotta go hide in the closet. What could this thing want from me? Like, I get that it's scary, but that stuff's really valuable. That's how I'd go about it.
Oh, that's great. So followed by this, so basically there are a lot of questions that come with many of the customers out over there who are using Shopify as a medium. So how would you expect them to be updated on the latest e-commerce trends and the technologies out over there?
Oh, this is a good question. And I think it's a double-edged sword. I think we live in a golden age of information. And so if you're an entrepreneur, like, because I'm 40, I'm geriatric millennial. And so for me, like, I remember being a teenager and I want to learn about stuff and I didn't have any money. So I would go to the library and get books. Oh my God. You remember those? A book, you open it, and there's like, it's dead trees. Very strange. So quaint. But now, not only, it's like you've got the web, but not only do you have the internet, you've got every person who's like ever made $1 online wants to sell you a course about how to make $1 online, selling courses about making $1 online. And so you've got this fire hose of information out there. And so there really is no end to the amount of places you can find and stay up to date on this stuff. I think the danger is you're trying to stay up to date on everything. It would be much better to pick 3 to 5 people, and it's going to change over time, depending on where you're at and like, what that person's doing. 3 to 5 people that you're like, okay, this is who I trust.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for that answer, Kurt. So if you can say, talking a little bit more on this segment out, what are the other sound bites you would like to share our target audience out over there who are planning to use Shopify and integrate the applications out over there?
Who's the target audience?
It depends basically on all those people who are just started to use Shopify or those people who are currently using Shopify as a medium but haven't seen the traction, or they want to know a little bit more on how exactly or what to do about it? How can
Okay.
you can say, yes.
So getting that first sale from a stranger is like magic. That's so tough to do. If you can get the one, all right, can you get 10? If you can get 10, can we get 100? And so you see where this is going. It's like it gets easier as you add more. It is very much a snowball rolling down a hill, but you see gains where you spend your time. So if you're not putting any effort into it, and then also wondering why you're not getting sales, well, okay, that's an easy problem to figure out. I will say you'll make yourself crazy comparing yourself to others. And at this point, I have interviewed or spoken with in depth at least 1,000 Shopify merchants in every stage of their business. And what I've learned is there are no two identical paths to success. What works for someone else might work for you. It might not. And so you got to go with what you're comfortable with, what is practical for you, like what's reasonable, what you like. Like maybe you got to get out there and create content. Okay, for me, I don't necessarily love writing. I could do it, but it feels like homework. But recording video, that's fun. It's some effort. Recording audio, oh, that's the sweet spot. So I did a podcast and that worked out very well for me. But it's going to be different for you. And so finding that intersection of like what works and what doesn't for you is tough, especially early on. You are in a cave and you have a candle, and over time that light's going to get brighter. You're going to be able to see more and figure it out. But initially, it really is just trying stuff to see what sticks. And what's so tough about it with the internet, discourse media, it moves so quickly, and so you pretty much have to be you're just going to be yelling into this empty void for 6 months. 12 months before anyone notices. And that's so it's like, all right, if you try, I made one TikTok and nothing happened, so TikTok doesn't work. I think that's the danger, is like you tried it once and you're like, well, it didn't work immediately. Like I wasn't an overnight success, so I should give up on this. I think that's the biggest misconception. I've yet to meet an overnight success. I don't think they exist. Or if they do, you don't hear about like the 9 times they failed before the success. And so and don't be afraid to like modify, change your business. Like I have forgotten as many business ideas as I have attempted and then immediately failed at. And so if you're willing to just keep going, eventually through sheer brute force or luck, you will figure it out.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing this insightful information out of your Kurt. So this
My
is all
pleasure.
about it. This is a little bit about Engati. Definitely we'll be having more exclusive such content. So guys, over here out, you can subscribe to Engati, tap on the bell icon, and get exclusive content out from leaders all over the globe. And thank you for staying tuned. We meet again.